Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our last session in the Expert in the Room webinar series. We're so happy to have you all with us today. I am Shannon Lasidziewicz. I am the Director of Sales here at the Albany Capital Center, and very excited to deliver some awesome content today. We will be talking AV, another great topic, and I'm hoping to get some great questions from you guys as well. So let's jump right into a little bit of housekeeping. Those of you who have joined us before, the concept is the same for today. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to deliver them in our little chat box. And we have a full team here with us today of my peers and colleagues that will help get the questions over to us. If for some reason we don't get a chance to answer all of them, we will be sure to follow up with you and share all the information with our viewers. Lastly, please make sure you hit that mute button. I'm usually the one, there's always one in the party that forgets, and I'm usually it. So I'm going to remind everyone to hit that mute button so we can hear everyone clearly. Please note that the session is being recorded and will be available on our COVID resource page and YouTube channel after the event is over. Okay, without further ado, I would like to swing it on over to our very excellent General Manager, Doug McLean.
Thanks, Shannon. As Shannon mentioned, this is our last Expert in the Room. We've had great content here over the last couple of weeks, and we're able to touch on quite a few different topics and feel at this point where we've, especially with the audio visual here today, that this will conclude our series. So thank you all for tuning in for the last couple of weeks. And as we get more information and guidelines and we really ramp up our opening, we may introduce some other topics. But for now, audio visual. Shannon, if you wouldn't mind going to the slide with the Capitol Room.
Oh, look, I'm behind.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that.
Rookie on the clicker today.
I know, definitely.
I wanted to, before we get started and we introduce our AV partner, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the AV capabilities that are built into the Capitol Center. And these are in all of our meeting rooms, in our pre-function spaces, also the level 2 multi-purpose room. So in the photo there is a copy of, or excuse me, is a photo of the Capitol Room. This room is the only room that has a built-in monitor in it. It also has in-house AV. All of our meeting rooms have floor boxes that have power, internet needs, and video inputs. So we have the capability, which is great, especially this time where we have to social distance and separate our groups into 50. We have the ability to stream our audio and video to multiple rooms from one source. So we don't have to worry about putting in put in 5 inputs for each projector. It's just one input, and we can stream that to all of our meeting rooms and upstairs. And we can also take our signal from upstairs and send it downstairs, and the audio goes throughout the building. So it really gives us a lot of ease without having to run cables over doorways and through doorways, and it really sends an easy message for the user to utilize and all the spaces at once, again, especially in these times of social distancing. We talked a little bit, and this was our first webinar, was the robust Wi-Fi system. So streaming, we realize here, as much as we'd love to pack this building full of people, that we'll have a lot of hybrid events, and we're preparing for those. And that's something that our Wi-Fi system will allow us to do with ease. We have multiple access points and cable drops in all of the meeting rooms. And again, in the pre-function space, we can allocate bandwidth to the user, so we don't have to worry about lagging on the stream. So I think it's really good asset to have in the facility to be able to keep our streams live and build our events as we start with hybrids and then work our way back to the full-blown conferences. So and the other asset is the digital signage package. This really allows us to change our messages throughout. We have our messages as far as wearing masks and what's happening in each room. So I think, with the digital signage package that, greets you really in the parking garage, through the walkways to the main entrance, outside each meeting room. It really gives us an opportunity to keep the messages fresh and really allow you, the client, to change your message and customize it without going through printing costs. So I think that's something that lends itself very well. Excuse me. So that kind of is a brief overview of the AV system here. It was built, to the Convention Center Authority's credit. We opened in 2017, and we didn't want to put, equipment in, and generally when you get into AV, and I think our partner here is going to talk a little bit about it, you buy that computer or whatever, and it seems like it's outdated the minute you get it home out of the box. So tried to build for the future. We've been successful so far, and I think with our AV partner, we'll continue to stay ahead of the game. With that, I'd like to introduce Bill Reinhardt, who is president owner of A.C.E.S. I've known Bill for quite some time, and worked with him a lot in my years at the Times Union Center, and he's been in and out of the building the last couple of years here at the Capitol Center too. So he's certainly familiar with the operations here and the standards we'd like to set in the presentation of our events. We went through an RFP process during this COVID pandemic. Took an opportunity to utilize some of the downtime without events to catch up on some of the housekeeping items, and our AV partner contract had expired, and we were on a month-to-month basis. So we went ahead and went out to RFP, and A.C.E.S really stepped up to the plate with a nice aggressive package that I think is beneficial both to the Albany Capitol Center and, more importantly, to the client. So without any further ado, Bill, I don't want to read your
please don't.
Your bio, but if you want to just give us a little overview on yourself and your company and how you got here today, and we'll get right into it.
Sure. Well, thank you, Doug. My wife, Jan, and we started the company in 1992, so we've been in this for 28 years. The original intent was to do live audio for bands, lighting, that kind of performance. That's all gone now, by the way. They're saying not till 2022. We, over the years, we got into video. 2002, I want to say, we bought our first projectors. We moved into our first big building, Big Boy Warehouse in Troy. That was 13,000 square feet in 1999. We continued on through life, but we hit 2008, and the world crashed again, if you'll recall. The economy went south, and at the same time, we also purchased another building there. So we're in 40. And South Troy is pretty cool. We're good there. During the years, we've had great employees. We still have great employees. We have great employees here now to service this contract. We want to thank the Albany Cap Center, Convention Center Authority, ASM Global. Looking forward to working with Doug and Shannon and Amelia. That's going to be all kinds of fun. We intend to bring a different slant on production in this building. We are bringing multiple copies of every piece of equipment that would be used here. If there's going to be 5 projectors here, we'll have 7 as, a couple of spares. Screens, you'll see pictures coming up now of packages that we're working on and getting together. And we've got good experience with doing multiple venues at the same time, so we can cover many different aspects of this building with our knowledgeable crew. We have a great relationship with Local 14, who's the stagehands that are at the TU and here now, and I'm looking forward to 5 successful years here until the next contract is up.
Bill, I will jump right in and we'll start digging into lots of detail. I know that our team is very, very excited to work with you guys as well, and see how you put your own stamp on things here. So exactly. I think probably the most important thing for us to talk about is the fact that for the last several weeks, you guys have been helping us with our Expert in the Room
Correct.
webinar series. So, go through a little bit about what the technology is in this room, and what are the capabilities that we have in this space.
Well, in this room, we have each station that we occupy, 3 right now, but we have up to 8 stations that we can do. It has speakers and camera and mics, and you're listening to and looking at all of that. And with each of those stations, there's a laptop that we have supplied, and we're not using that camera or any part of that laptop other than to stream and get it all up onto Zoom. We've also got a different computer system that's sitting off camera that you can't see that is taking Zoom and putting it up on Facebook and YouTube as separate signals, and they're being recorded that way. And then there's a couple of large screen monitors that we look at. They're 75-inch flat screens that we can see all the images that are coming out to you as the contribution from here. So it's a pretty neat little package. We also have a package that's camera and mics, and then the camera and mics are separated, but they're all put together through one of our computer systems, and they become an actual Zoom feed unto themselves. So we have a camera, and for example, in the next room over, there's a camera and 10 microphones that will all get put together and become a single Zoom square, if you will. And that's something that's kind of exciting. That's something we've just begun. So that'll be fun.
So the process of learning this, the hybrid world and virtual world, I guess, has been a new adventure for you guys.
Yeah,
for sure.
this is, we actually started streaming a year and a half ago, I'd say, is probably was where we entered the actual streaming market. And the investment has been large, because when you want to get into that, you're spending a lot to get going, but we're going, and streamers are not a problem anymore. And all the software, we've got that.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty well covered.
Let's talk about the software a little bit. If a client comes in and they want to do, a meeting such like this where they're streaming, what sort of platforms can you offer? I know you offered Zoom and YouTube. Microsoft Teams is another one.
Yeah, we have GoToMeeting online. We haven't signed up Microsoft Teams, but we're more than happy to sign that up also. And then, of course, the YouTube, and we can put it on anyone's Facebook, because we just need access to their particular page and that sign-in information. So we can put it onto your personal site, and it can be streamed there rather than on ours. And we can offer ours also.
Perfect. So streaming services,
Correct.
You guys can completely take care of that for them. That's awesome. That's great. Let's really move on forward. I want to start talking about our collaboration, about some of the packages that we're going to be doing. Obviously, as Amelia and I have said through some of these other sessions, the way we're selling has started to change, and the way we're talking to our clients about what meetings are and what the business is going to look like is changing. So packages has to change, and
Sure.
What you're offering is going to adjust a little bit. So why don't we talk about a couple of different options that you're seeing on the screen right now about we're starting the process of trying to put some of this together specifically for the breakout rooms down here.
Sure. Well, what we're doing is we spent a week ago next door putting up equipment and taking pictures, and I really want to thank RTS Photography for doing an excellent job. He came in and was pretty patient with us. We had to move a lot of equipment around quickly and get it all set up so that it was presentable for the images. But we've taken in-house equipment and used that and augmented as either little as possible or as much as you prefer, based on your image that you want for your event. Do you want me to go into?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you go into describing what everyone's looking at?
On the upper right hand image. That's basically our nearly least expensive package that has the in-house podium microphone. We're using in-house sound, which is nice because these rooms are all divvied up to run separately. And then that's an 80-inch flat screen. And you as a customer could bring your own laptop and with an HDMI output, and we would hook you up to that flat screen and you could do your own presentation on that screen. And so that's an audio and video package. That's the smallest. Now, if you wanted to go with a projection system, to the right of that's a 5x9 screen projection. And both of those systems are essentially the same. On the right-hand side, we've added audio just as an illustration to show what that might be. But the projection system, 5x9 screen, and the 80-inch flat screen, depending on your audience, are both available. And we've upgraded the podium in the right-hand, upper right-hand. That's what we call our presidential podium. That's real walnut. And that's also got our upgraded sound also. That's a couple speakers added. So you can see that the speaker's podium and then either screen is essentially what that would look like. The down right side is the bigger screen. It's pretty big in the space. It's a 7x12. That's I think for us, for a single room, that would be a stretch to cram that in there. But it's just for reference, I decided to take the picture anyway and put it out there so it could be seen. And that also is with sound. And then of course you've got the lower right, which is again back to either of the packages with audio and a smaller screen. We offer LED walls, and they can be done in a 7x12. And just for reference, the lower right-hand screen, that projection screen is 7x12. We can also build that in an LED wall, 7x12. So those are those packages that you can see right now. And the salespeople, Shannon and Amelia, will have those images and pricing to go along with available to them and for whatever you need. And they'll be able to make adjustments from that point.
And I think, thank you for going through those in depth. And I know we've got a couple of questions streaming in that we're going to take a quick break to snag before we go forward. But one of the things I want to make sure that I stress too is, as we're kind of going through this process, I think we'll see certain needs start to develop.
Sure.
As we get back to business, and as we see business start to come back to us. I think the neat thing is that these packages can start to develop into something that is sort of, a package for our setting. If you are doing a live stream event, we have a package for that, depending and that sort of thing.
Right.
Do you see certain packages starting to develop that way? And I just think the ease for the customer in seeing that is going to be really important at this time too.
Yes. We've always kind of been a package company, and the more you get, the more we discount is basically the way we've looked at it for years.
Yeah.
So we've done some very large shows, and people are kind of surprised at how inexpensive that really is. However, we're branching off, we're in this now, this whole online meeting and streaming, and we are constantly configuring custom products.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll find something like this package that we're using right now has worked week after week flawlessly. It's been great. And it's been very easy and simple to put together and get up. So that's been good. The hybrid meetings that we've been having we're still playing with. They've been good, but we want to get them better.
Yeah, it's a learning process for you guys too.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're kind of writing the book on some of these.
Yeah, for sure.
Our own.
Well, we're excited to be along there with you on that journey for sure. Well, before I go any forward, I know we have a couple of questions that have come through, so I want to make sure that we address those. So I'm going to go back up really quickly to Gary, who did send in a question about the conversation we were having earlier. He said, what are the 10 microphones for? I know you were describing the room next door, so if you could go maybe a little bit more in depth so that they understand what the microphone portion of that meeting is about.
This is for an upcoming meeting this coming Thursday. It is set up so that the tables are in a U. I'll give you the visual first. The tables are in a U. Everyone is social distanced. I believe there's 10 or 11 tables, and each table has a gooseneck microphone. And the camera is on the center 3 individuals that are actually conducting the meeting, but they've got everyone participating. But they weren't concerned about having everyone visually participating, simply participating with the meeting. So on Thursday, what we're going to be putting online in Zoom as a single box is an image, but there will be 10 people talking at times. Each mic has its own on and off switch, by the way. And those people will have a discussion, and then other people will come in like you have on the Zoom package, and you'll also be a square also. So this is kind of rewriting this book, but we were testing it this afternoon. It should be great.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks to, in our business, no event is the same from one day to the next.
Yeah, right.
And I must be for you guys right now, the same process is not, one square peg in a round hole at this point. Everyone wants something different.
Correct.
The messages they want to deliver are different, and the technology, being able to be flexible with that, is probably important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hop to another question from Kimberly. Thank you so much for your question. She did say, so does the sound not go through the balloon speakers? Do you have to order speakers extra? So I think we just need to clarify the house sound versus your stick speakers, and what the differences and capabilities are there.
My impression is that we will be augmenting the house sound. We'll also add our speakers to that package, and that would be the expansion. So with each podium, there's a small mixer board that allows us to have volume control and the microphone on the podium. But at that point, you could also put back in program, and typically the ceiling speakers might not like to see heavy music or intro music or heavy audio embedded in a video roll, that kind of thing. So the augmentation that we supply is for clarity and a little higher performance than what you would get out of the ceiling speakers.
Got you. So the technology is there to use our house sound if
Correct.
the presentation calls for it.
Yes.
And then if you need an upgrade afterwards or have something a little bit more robust in your presentation, then obviously it's suggested to do some more speakers.
Yep.
Okay, great. Kimberly, I hope that helped answer your questions as well. I think
she says, okay, thanks.
And they all said, okay, thanks. Got it. Perfect.
Okay, thanks. Got it. Nailed it.
I nailed it. Okay, we've got one more before we move on. Specifics, highlighting, custom. Customize different spaces and different needs that people have in the spaces. I have, one client that came to me, as we were doing these webinars and says, does the room have to be set up this way? Do the speakers have to be set up just in the breakout rooms?
Right.
So can you talk a little bit more as to, not with, let alone the flexibility of your equipment, but the flexibility of being able to place your equipment, in the facility?
Right. Okay. So essentially, if you were to look at, let's say, the top image on the left, we could center the podium and put a second 80-inch there and push everything out to the walls, still use the in-house sound package microphone off of the in-house podium. We could also put up in-house, is it 8 or 12 foot drape?
8 foot.
8 foot drape. We stock 12 foot velours. We stock 12 foot velours clear to 35 foot velours for the TU Center. But the back wall, of course, if you look at any of those pictures, we didn't put up any additional drape. That would be obviously add a little bit of customization to it, but give it a a better image, a little more finished look. But we can either do multiple screens. We could eliminate the podium entirely and put up a wireless mic, either a lavalier, or we use the over ears quite a lot now these days. They're made by Countryman. They're really an excellent product. And so we can move things around, but the typical setup that I've seen in the 5 rooms down here has been entryway off the atrium and setups the way we have them scaled out now.
Right.
So that's we can add, change, move, but we'd rather have someone here that is looking at it and going, yeah, move that 2 inches to the left or right. Put it back.
Yeah, and we respect that. Our clients want specific things, and you being in the business for 28 years and more plus that, are not unaccustomed to that sort of request. So
yes. Well, when you deal with the government, every now and then they show up and go, no, that's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
Then talk to your guy.
Yeah, we'll start over.
Put it there.
All right. Well, I think we have gotten a good jump on this. So I want to actually continue with the questions. Let's keep on going. We talked a little bit about the inventory that you guys are going to have on site. You talked about some projectors. You talked about your pipe and drape, and obviously it's a technology that we're using right here. What else can you tell us about the inventory that's going to be available to our clients?
Well, our door to door, dock to dock, as it were, we are like 12 to 15 minutes away. So we've got the ability to simply send a truck down here, do our load in, set up with the IA, and present. My impression of how our day will run is we're going to have everything here the day before, especially during the winter, because, oh, by the way, it snows every now and then. The equipment that will be in the most, obviously, is equipment for the rooms here. These will have probably the most traffic, I have to believe.
Yeah.
The systems that'll be up in the big room, typically, my guess would be larger packages, LEDs, walls we're going to be putting in upstairs, and hopefully not moving. We're going to make them work up there. And we'd prefer to go with the LED walls over the projection packages, and they will be essentially about the same price, and you'll get a much better product out of an LED wall. And you can see by the pictures that are up right now, that is, I want to say that's about a 16 by 28 eyeball on that upper left look. That was a show we did at SUNY Albany in the rack, and that was a big LED setup.
Gotcha.
And the upper right-hand side, that's at SUNY Albany. That was the Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor. And those are a pair of 16:9 screens, which actually look tiny where they were, but once you get up to them, they are also very large, and that's what we're looking to put in above in the large. The screen that Governor Cuomo is standing in front of, also a 16 by 9 screen, and that was out in Buffalo. But the LEDs, we got into LEDs, I want to say 6 years ago, and we haven't looked back. The ability of an LED panel to compete with the sun, the brightness, you can put it in an atrium, and it is just striking how big and beautiful they get. We have both indoor and outdoor. We did all of the Syracuse Fair work for the past 2 years with LED walls out there. But indoor, outdoor, and we're more than happy to get LED into place. And I think that's where we're going to, the business will wind up, is very nearly all LED.
So your LED boards must take up a good portion of that 42,000 square
They
foot warehouse.
take up, yeah, they actually do.
They must have their own wing.
They do. They actually have their own section, and
Yeah.
it's they're stacked, and it's just big.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah,
So let's dig into the information behind. A lot of times, Amelia and I will be talking to clients, and we give them proposals, or they see the proposal of AV, and it's got the equipment, and then we start talking about the tech support. Can you
right.
tell us a little bit more about the importance of tech support for an event, large or small, especially in this virtual world or hybrid world, and how that's really going to be essential for our clients?
Sure. Our goal is to never have an emergency.
Good goal.
And yeah, good, right?
That's
Good goal.
critical.
So we intend to have at least one person on for every 2 or 3 rooms, simply because someone might not be able to get their computer hooked up to the screen, may not have brought a clicker with them, that kind of thing. And our intention is to always be accessible. We have an actual office upstairs. We
Yay.
are populating that today. And we even have a cage to
Awesome.
store things in. So there will be extras here, like I had said earlier, for just about everything that we can anticipate having gone wrong.
And I
And
think the
that's
nice thing for you guys, you're right around the corner too.
and we are.
Yeah.
We're literally, like I say, we're 15 minutes or less away, depending on 787 traffic. And we really go to great lengths to check things prior to it leaving the warehouse to come here or go anywhere, really. Because, the riding in a truck, every now and then you hit a good bump and
Yeah.
you don't know what everything's going to do in the back.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to ask you to brag about your team a little bit here too. Do you guys go through training with them on all equipment, and what does that look like to help with the confidence of our clients?
these days, I go through training with them. I've found that the new generation is far more digitally oriented than I was during the analog era. Um, these guys come in between figuring out their games, building their own computer. We have some technology graduates from Hudson Valley and various other areas. We have a lot of people with just plain experience, and everyone that we have has a spot. And I won't say a specialty, because a few of them just like know everything, and just I've just gotten to the point where I'd rather just run the business and book the shows and let them handle the
Leave the rest to
technology.
that.
Exactly. It's even on this, I marvel at what Evan does,
Yeah.
and he does it every day.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. Thank you for that. A couple of these questions we've kind of reviewed, so I'm going to skip forward on to a question that I think is really important. What advice do you have to some of our clients that are still trying to learn this process in this new world? What sort of questions should they be asking? How can we help guide them into putting together something that's appropriate for them, and helping them with the message that they're trying to get across?
the biggest help that I found in dealing with customers, and that's from my aspect,
Yeah.
is we just need an idea, what you intend to accomplish, whether it's a Zoom meeting or a presentation to 100, 1,000, whatever that might be. And just you say, I want to have an image, I want to have it covering this number of people. This is what it's going to be. If it's PowerPoint, the big thing we've found in PowerPoint is pixel size or font size, and getting the slides too close to the edges, and because it starts to degrade as once it's put up in a very large format. But just a, a, a concept. If it's a good concept and it's doable from our end, we bend over backwards to get it done. And I think you would do the same. You are, when they come in here, you're saying, what are you looking to accomplish?
Yeah.
And there you are. It's so we would get together at that point.
Yeah.
and decide the best way to accomplish that. And then it's up to the customer to decide if that number, that cost, is what they want to do. And then we can trim from there if necessary.
I think it's important, you know, a lot of the points that you made, and one of the points that you made earlier is not one size fits all with all of this.
Correct.
So it really is a little bit of a fact-finding mission right now to work with the clients and to say, you know, like you said, what is it that you're looking to do?
Right.
What's the end result? And then we kind of back it up from there.
Exactly.
And support with technology, support with setup,
Yes.
support with social distancing, and see what we can back build to get them to where they need to
Right.
go.
Right.
I think it's kind of tough to offer a one clear-cut package for it, because there is so many, like the event that we're going to have later in the week with the 10 microphones is very different than what this setup, this
Sure.
production office is.
Yep. Yep.
But that's the look that they, you know, wanted to go with in their vision. So I think it's important to, you know, sadly, there isn't one size fits all that you can request, but it's talking about where you want to be and what the end result is, and then kind of backfilling.
Right. And figuring out exactly how much customization to something we need to do to accomplish the concept that we're being presented.
Yeah. And I want to ask you too, you know, because I'm sure we're going to have, I think we've already had a few clients call us and say, you know, we don't even know where to start. You know, and I think, you know, with you saying the confidence of, you know, just tell us where you want to go.
Right.
And we'll, you know, do what we can to get
We
you
will
there.
get you there. Yeah.
It's very, very important. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, because you have been in the live event world for so long. And I'm going to say, what are your thoughts on live events coming back? What's your gut tell you? And then what's your heart tell you? And, you know, I just want to air that fun question out there as well.
I keep reading, and I don't want to say, you know, everything on the internet is true, but the prediction is that our large-scale live events are not due back until, you know, probably late 2021, 22. And when this hit, I mean, there's a lot more to a live event than doing a live band event. We have done sound for 15,000 people for graduation at SUNY Albany outdoors around that circle. We've put up the audio, the video, cameras, the full production, and streamed it online and covered all those people with audio. And that's a monstrous, we're in there for a week, and it takes a long time to do that. That went away. We watched Sienna and St. Rose go away. Everything that we normally run through May doing, it's all gone. And I don't know that we're going to see that until spring of 21. There certainly is nothing that we've got of any particular size on the horizon. So I just hate to say it, but I think we're in a tough spot. And more so, and just on a personal note, the people that work in this industry, you know, that work, the stagehands from SPAC, the Times Union Center here, Proctor's, they're all in trouble. And we need to hope that they can get this thing passed and get those people some help. Yeah. Because they need the work.
Yeah. One small step at a time.
Yep.
All kind of coming together to help people realize that, you know, we do have to move forward, and there is a future, albeit maybe slow and steady.
Yeah.
For sure.
That will win the race. That's what I hear anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely. I know everyone in this room that surrounds me is all very eager to get see a business, whatever, you know, we're all figuring out what that new normal is. So,
we're making it up as we go along.
Yeah, like you said, we're writing our own rule book right now. Yeah,
exactly.
Which is kind of exciting. You know, I was saying the other day, someone was saying to me, you know, you and Amelia stay so positive through this whole thing, and I said to them, you know, you have to remember, we did open, I lovingly call our building my baby, but we lovingly opened this beautiful building not only a few years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
And we had a long uphill battle, and it was a lot about showing clients the possibility and helping them to envision what events would look like here. And even though the scenarios are on two different spectrums, the concept for me, anyways, is still very similar. We're
Right.
still showing people that meetings can happen, just in a different way,
Sure.
asking them to think outside the box a little bit, asking them to go on a journey with us, much like we did 3-4 years ago. So for me, the storyline, albeit very, very different, is a little similar. And I think that's why our sales team has tried to stay on the positive side of it.
Right.
But I have to ask you too, we're very excited for the partnership, but what are you looking forward to the most with our new partnership?
Quite honestly, it's a challenge servicing a building of this size continuously.
Mm-hmm.
And I anticipate expanding our labor pool of technicians by another 4 or 5 people over as jobs build will expand.
Okay.
This building is just awesome. I got to tell you, there's cable run everywhere, through the walls, under the floors, over the ceilings. We can put things from point A to point B just by getting into the back room and making some plugging things together. And it's just an excellent property to work at. Load-in is easy. Docks are nice. It's an elevator, but it is what it is.
It's a nice elevator. I know.
It's a nice elevator, but having to go up the
It's a large elevator.
at the TU, you can load in right at the ground level,
Yeah.
and that's really nice. But coming up through the elevator is fine. And the big room has just rigging capabilities and weight capabilities that are just amazing. And it'll be nice to take the company, outfit this building, and say, there we go, and work with everyone here to produce really good events and do it well. And that's going to be the great part of this, the next 5 years, Doug.
Oh, Bill, thank you so much. I really appreciate you going through a lot of these questions for us. I'm gonna end with one last question for you, Bill, and I'm just gonna say, through all of this and all of this process, we're like I guess the theme of today, we're writing our own book, and we're doing everything we can to build confidence with our clients and to show them the way. If there was one bit of advice out there that you could tell someone who thinks it's going from a live event where you have 100, 200, 500 people in the room, something, and then going to virtual, help us understand a little bit better the value still in the virtual world versus doing something with lots of people.
Well, understand my position has normally been not sitting in this chair, but sitting over at the other chair or behind the curtain.
Yeah.
That's been my position, running the business and being in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So this is highly unusual. But from having done this now, you need to have, again, a concept of what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And the technology will follow to get you to that concept. So these particular items that we are using right now, a year ago, didn't exist. They came into being because people were doing Zoom meetings and people were doing come to meeting, go to meeting rooms. And they are the best little pieces of equipment ever because they have speakers, they have mics, and they have cameras, and it's all just plug it together and go. And technology seems, we'll figure out the technology to actually get it done.
Great.
And that's the best way.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate your insight today very much. I'm hoping that the information shared here was helpful. I know we're sort of just tipping the bucket probably with questions, and as people start to really think about, their next hybrid event or their next virtual event, the questions will start flowing
Sure.
from there.
Yeah.
But I there was one question, and I just want to back up very quickly for Lisa. She did ask if we have an example, or if you guys have an example of a comprehensive request for proposal that clients should be asking about. And I think we touched on that a little bit, that there's not one size fits all. I think what she's asking is, do we have an example of, something that a client could say, this is what I need for my virtual package. And I think our response to that was sort of what we described as, you have to sort of describe where you want to be first, and then the technology will follow. That's,
Right.
I feel like we're getting at.
Yeah.
And there's sadly not really a map out there or a specific stamp that says, okay, this is the online portion that we want to do, and go from there.
Correct.
Unless you guys have seen something different, or
we actually take I take the phone calls as they come in, and we kind of map out again the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I've literally spent we had a customer call from Northampton, Mass, wanted to put an LED wall in, and when he found out the cost of the LED wall, they decided to go to live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And an FM transmitter, which has become the in thing. And when you're doing drive-in events, FM transmitters are very handy. So we've settled now where we're at a 4-camera shoot streamed, and his intention is he'll transmit on the FM, but also people can have their phones in their cars and can watch the stream on their phones. So it's just the imagination. If you can imagine it, we'll figure out a way to make it work. And he called me with the intent of wanting a big LED wall out to put the event on the LED wall. And when he saw the cost, it's a fundraiser.
Sure.
And he said, no, not going to spend that much.
Gotta switch gears.
We do? Yeah. And it switched instantly to an online presence, and that's where it's headed.
Gotcha.
So,
well, Lisa, I know that's probably not the most black and white answer. We all wish we lived in a little bit more cut and dry world, but I hope that was at least a little bit helpful. We did have another question come in, and it was basically if you could describe, or if the technology also works, if the panelists, not everybody is here.
Right.
Can you have a panelist that is at their house? Can you have a panelist that is in a different location than our facility and still make this technology work?
We just did that. What day was
Practice
that?
makes perfect.
Thursday.
For the film, for the film fest. I got for
Albany. I forget what her company was. Deb Gedke, right?
Albany Film.
We just did that. She had people down in the city, people here, and at various homes, working off of their laptops and on the Zoom platform.
Yep.
And apparently the last meeting they had, the director of the movie had actually tried to work off of his phone on his front porch in the Catskills.
Oh my goodness.
And we requested respectfully that he use a laptop this time and get something indoors, because the phone was winging all over the place. So you could never really keep an eye on it.
Gotcha.
But it was, we have done that already, and we can add our Zoom package will allow up to 100 ties. And at that point, you can have a lot of participants, and they can be all across the country as long as they've got access to camera, mic, and internet.
Yeah, great.
Well, we have that.
Great. So this almost turns into a command center, so to speak,
Yes.
for something like that. And that's great that the technology is flexible there as well.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Bill, again, thank you so much. We're so excited to partner with you. We will definitely be updating all of our information on our website and everywhere to include you in that, so that people have your number. And I definitely want to make sure that we thank everyone on the webinar definitely for listening to us. As we've been talking about a couple of these events, that we've started to have, many of them are actually thanks to the webinar series that we've done the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Clients have watched us, they have liked what they've seen, and are creating their own story. I think that's the theme of today, to create your own story.
Right.
So one question I want to make sure, it's actually a building question that's come through, that I want to actually swing over to Doug, if we could. And I would like to, or we would like to get an update on the air filtration system for the building, if that's possible, from Doug, if you can fill in that question for us with any updates you have.
Yep. That's not AV.
Can Evan see?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, update on the air filtration system. We had a group came in last week with, and forgive my lack of knowledge of the widgets they brought in, but they came in with their monitors and took a baseline measurement of the particles in the air. And we have since
Let him know. We'll get back.
now installed our MERV 11 filters. So they'll be back next week to take a second reading on the results of just the improvement of the MERV 11s. We had previously had MERV 8s. And then from there, we'll be installing the O2 Prime system, which I talked about a little bit, which is a ionization, bipolar ionization system that lives at the coils of the air handling units, and they clean the coils in the air in between filters. So you have a filter upstream and downstream of the system. And then once that's installed, we'll wait a period of time and then take another reading and monitor to see what our final results are of this particular system that we feel is good. ASM Global Facilities, Denver Convention Center is installing a system. They've seen some great results so far as well. So there are some other facilities that are going down this road. Kind of a side factor is that these units are also energy savings. So there's potential there for the building to cut in its energy costs because your fan speeds aren't running as fast. And then there's also hopefully some possible supplemental funding, possibly through some NYSERDA grants. So the air filtration is continuing monitoring the system, and it's not something that we want to just go ahead and say, oh, look, we put this magic widget in the air handlers and now everything's better. We're actually building baseline results and then final results to make sure it's exactly what we need. And this process continues, but again, just upgrading from the MERV 8s to 11s, as Governor Cuomo mentioned, for the malls and stuff, we're following that suit right now.
Great. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate the building update. Thanks, everyone, for your great questions. We are coming to the end of our session here. We are all very ready and eager to meet you again. I don't think anyone in the hospitality business can't say eager. Yeah, and looking forward to it. Very, very good point. We definitely want to make sure we end our session and end our webinar series with a big thank you to our partners, the Albany Convention Center Authority, A.C.E.S, Zone Hospitality, Discover Albany, and Baker PR. Many of them who helped participate in this webinar series as well. It takes a village, they say, and in our world, it's no different. It takes a village and a team and motivation and all that good stuff to make it happen. So we thank you all for taking this journey with us. As Doug mentioned a little bit earlier, as we hopefully get back to business in this new norm, and more updates come and we develop more things on our side, we definitely will think about continuing our webinar series or having some special sidetrack series for sure. We absolutely look forward to your feedback as we continue through this COVID journey, and we thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Doug. And on behalf of our entire team, we say goodbye today.